I don't know why this looks different. Ndewo. Umu ibe ndewo. Ah, wait for it. There. Okay, that looks better. All right, ndewo. Today we're going to be talking about anxiety, very specifically an ilu, or as it's translated as a proverb that specifically speaks on what our ancestors had to say about an anxiety. Then, as always, is going to be a Q&A. If you guys have any questions, I am here to answer. So bring your questions. I will stop once the questions stop. As always, we are going to go ahead and begin the discussion when we get to 15 people. When we get 15 people in the chat, we are going to go ahead and begin the discussion. Today, we are talking about anxiety, fear, all of that. So I have a really good ilu that has been resonating with me lately after I had a conversation with somebody that fate just made us bump into each other. But yeah, today we are talking about anxiety, anxiety, anxiety. All right, we have 5 people in here, 3 likes. Kedu Nwanne, Nigeris, Kedu, Snapple and Cats, long time, buddy. Kedu, Kekidu. Yeah, I was supposed to go live yesterday, but I didn't realize I wasn't feeling well until my wife gave me some vitamins, zinc and something else. I think vitamin D and zinc. And then I woke up this morning feeling like a normal human being. But prior, I thought I was just feeling like tired, right? And then I realized I wasn't feeling well. Change of seasons anyway. That and a lack of haircuts, the reason I'm wearing this right here. We got 8 people in here. Anxiety, the emotion, or like anxiety disorder. Snapple and Cats, good question. Very good question. Very good question. We'll see. We'll see. This is an ilu about the emotion, right? The feeling. And I think anxiety disorder might be, may not qualify, or not, that may not be what we're talking about today. Maybe there's something in the discussion that will resonate with somebody who either has been diagnosed with anxiety disorder or feels they have it, or anxiety disorder in general. But I'm more so focusing on the feeling of anxiety, right? Just a really brief thing that I wanted to share. It's an ilu that whenever I bump into a good proverb, I always save it on my phone. So this is one that's been lingering for a little bit. I recently used it today too. So that's what made me bring it up. It says, sweet. Okay. I'll dim my. We have 7 people in here and 4 likes. Once we get to 15, right? We always set a goal for how we kick things off. Once we get to 15, we're going to go ahead and go. I'm going to share the ilu and give you that perspective. This particular ilu that I'm going to share that pertains to like anxiety and fear and that type of thing, it really sums up one of the most valuable things I gained from Odinani. One of the most valuable things that Odinani has instilled in me as a person, and is something that's really helped me navigate situations entirely different. Hey, Ndewonu. Cybaria came in with a bang. Cybaria nwanne, ị ga-adị, ị ga-eto, nke ọ bụla itiri aka, ọ ga-adị n'ụwa, n'eke, n'orie, n'afọ, na nkwọ, ise. Ekelere m gị nwanne. Thank you. Cybaria with the donation. Thank you very much for that. So right now, Udodi. We have 6 in here, and we are waiting. We are waiting for the remaining people. We're going to begin once we get 15 people in here. We're going to be talking about anxiety and fear. More Snapple and Cats asked me a really good question. Is it the disorder or the feeling? We're talking more so about the feeling. Perhaps there's something within it that resonates with somebody with a disorder, though I would imagine it's an entirely different complex of things once it's the disorder rather than the feeling. So let's go ahead and hit the like button. It helps with Google, or so Google has told us, or YouTube has told us. So if you're in here, we got 8 people in here. That means 2 people have not hit the like button. 2 people, and you know exactly who you are because you're the only 2 in this room that have not hit the like button. Can you explain to me why you can't just go ahead and hit that little like button so we can get this conversation started? Huh? Every time you hit the like button, it shares the video or recommends the video to people who are like-minded. So there's somebody who's just like you out there who's maybe, I don't know, maybe they're watching maybe they're watching Kevin Samuels, right? And you want to bring, hey, leave that alone. Come listen to this, right? Maybe they're listening to something else, you know? And yeah, so let's get them over here. Go ahead. Oh, 9-9. Ah, wonderful. So we have 9 likes, 9 people in here. I wish I could do these lives every day, except last week when I was not feeling well. And I think the week before that, I was just exhausted. So yeah, 10. All right, we got 10 people in here. If we get 5 more people in here, if we get 5 more people in here, then we are going to go ahead and begin the discussion. This discussion is a very brief discussion. You know, in these lives, I like to keep it light. I like to keep it very accessible. But we go in. Like we really go in on these topics on the Patreon discussions. So if you are a patron, this one's not going to be as in depth as what you're probably used to, right? But you know, we'll do a little something for the common folk. All right, we got 12 people in here. If we can get, I can't even do math, 3 more people in here, we're going to go ahead and begin the discussion. Today's discussion is on the topic of anxiety, right? There's an ilu. I'm specifically going to share an ilu that sums up what Udinani did for my understanding of anxiety and fear and that kind of thing. And I think I was already like this kind of to begin with, right? A lot of these things is more realizing than whatever. I kind of was of this opinion, but it really cements it when you understand how your ancestors understood it, right? This is thousands of years of collective learning coming together to say, hey, my son, my daughter, this is what we think about this, or this is our perspective on this. And that's something that's very valuable to always receive. There is an ilu that says a child will never refuse, a child never refuses what came from their father's hands, or something like that, right? A child never refuses what came from their father's hands, right? So that's how that whole thing works. It has begun. We have officially reached 15 people. Kaibidokwe. You guys have done well. 17. All right. It's funny because once we hit that goal, all of a sudden it starts going. So I don't know what the hell that is, but I'm with it. Let's keep it going. All right. So as always, I'm going to begin by breaking Aji. Udochi says, yay, you said. I'm going to begin by breaking Aji. Once I break the Aji, we're going to go ahead and begin the discussion. The discussion is going to be an ilu that I hold dear on anxiety and, you know, what it means to me and so forth, right? All right. So that being said, let us go ahead and begin. Okike kerua. Alawala. Alanem. Alanine. Alamurunwa. Alamuruwa. Alanenyendo. Ala mụrụ mmadụ na mmụọ ndị mgbu na ndị egede. Ọjị abịala. Ọjị m ji n'aka bụ ọjị ntasi obi. Ọjị m ji n'aka bụ ọjị ndị iche anyị. Ọjị ndị eke, ndị orie, ndị afọ na ndị nkwọ. Ọjị ndị mgbu na ndị egede. Ọjị ndị mmadụ na ndị mmụọ. Ọjị na-enye ndụ, ọjị na-enye udo, ọjị na-enye ike, ọjị anyị jiri na-ama onwe anyị, na-amụ dị mkpa na agbọbịa, na-amụ ndị ugwu na ndị ike. Ọwụ ọjị ike ka m ji n'aka. Mana a sị na onye ọbụla bụtara ọjị pụtara ndụ, mana ọwụ ndụ ka m ji n'aka. Ọ ga-adị nnọọ na eke na orie na afọ na nkwọ ise. All right, so as always, for those who don't speak Igbo, I just try to break down what I just said. I dedicated this particular Oji to many things, but before I did that, when you're breaking Oji, you're giving acknowledgments soon to be 10K subscribers. He said, man, you better share these damn videos. That's how we get. But thank you very much for that. Yes, we're about to hit 10K. We're going to do it big for 10K. I think we're going to be hitting 10K around the time of the New Yam celebration at the end of this month, right? I'm still doing interviews and things like that and sifting through the ones that I want to put out and stuff because some people are kind of wild. But when you're breaking RG, the first thing you do is you give acknowledgments to everything that's present and relevant. So you give acknowledgments to anybody that's in attendance. You give acknowledgments to the creator if you believe in a creator. You give acknowledgments to the earth, whether you believe in the earth or not, right? You can give acknowledgments to anything you feel is present and relevant, right? And that list, there's never a limit to it. One of the things with the Igbo language and Igbo culture is there's no such a thing as rushing through your words. If you speak too fast, they see it as a sign that something is wrong with you. When you speak Igbo, when you're doing any type of ceremony, you take your time, you move slowly. It is closer to a sit-down restaurant as far as a language goes than a fast food restaurant, which is closer to, I won't say English, but definitely American English. Even listen to the way I'm talking right now. That's what, if you don't speak English, is what you're going to be hearing, right? So you take your time. So if you want to acknowledge every single thing for Abara you can think of from Igwe Nala, Agon, Nago, no Kago, Ago Me, Ago, anything you want to acknowledge, you acknowledge it at that time, right? After the acknowledgement, you can acknowledge your ancestors. Now, I'm not going to throw my ancestors over on you guys, but typically when I'm at my altar and I'm greeting my ancestors for the morning, I'll say their names in very specific order, and of course birth order, that kind of thing. But I summed up everybody's ancestors by saying Eke, Uri, Afo, and Anko. Then I dedicated this RG to peace, Udo. I dedicated it to strength. I dedicated it to Ntasiobi. Ntasiobi is like perseverance, right? The ability to persevere. I dedicated it to a whole lot of good stuff. And then if you say, then you're receiving it, right? That kind of thing. So if you hear a good thing and you say this RG is dedicated to Udo, then what we do in the culture is we break up the RG and we pass it around the room. Once you eat that RG, you're eating peace, you're eating life, you're eating everything that I put onto this thing. And that makes us one in spirit and one in mind and one in journey, which is what the RG represents, right? So all those things are done in that particular situation. For those of you who are coming from Kedu, well, not coming from Kedu because this is like the time off. In Igbo 2, we begin every class with Iwaji, and then each of the students eventually learn how to do the ceremony themselves, which is good because if you want to learn how to pray in the ancestral way, it's the exact same thing. That's how you would pray. So from learning Iwaji, you learn how to give a speech, how to pray, how to kind of understand the way things work as far as the thinking of our ancestors, right? And so forth. So that's something that you do in Igbo 2. And it's so funny because right now by the time we finish Igbo 2, everybody who was still there and still going strong, we're so good at doing this that I almost want to go to all these other like Igbo language schools and have competitions or something. Or I hope they start showing their skills elsewhere. I literally told them all, you guys need to find like your town meeting, or you guys need to go somewhere where you guys can show what you can do because it's awesome, right? So that's one of the things you learn to do in Kedu for Igbo 2, that kind of thing. So that being said, we came here to discuss the topic of anxiety, right? There is an ilu. There's an ilu that kind of sums up what our ancestors had to say about anxiety. And ilu, of course, is a proverb. And this ilu says, I'm going to be reading it, Ibo sondu, ike agagi agogi, right? Ibo sondu, ike agagi agogi, right? Which is, if you are running for your life, you will never get tired. Ibo sondu. Osondu is like it literally translates to the run of life, right? But it's running for your life. Osondu. Ibo sondu. Ike agagi agugi, right? Before I go ahead and say what I think it means, I want to see if some of you guys can type what you think it means. Give me your interpretation, right? Ibo sondo, ike agagi aguge. And this is a very insightful insight as to what our ancestors had to say about fear, anxiety, and so forth. Like Udochi says, Ibo, yes, Ibo. Udochi, how do you interpret the Ilu? I want to hear your interpretation. I want to see some interpretations of this Ilu, unless everybody's scared. Now, one of the things I have to make clear is that when it comes to Ilu, there's no wrong answer. The wrong answer with Ilu is not answering, right? The wrong answer with Ilu is not interpreting it. There's no wrong answer. You're going to receive an Ilu, I'm going to receive an Ilu, and we're going to say two different things that are being said in that one statement, right? Especially if the context isn't given. Everybody's going to give their different interpretation because it pulls something out of you. It pulls a parcel of wisdom out of you by giving you a vague allusion to what it's talking about, or a universal allusion to what it's talking about. If you're running for your life, you won't get tired. Wonderful. If you're running for your life, you won't get tired. Did I translate it, by the way? I think I've just been saying it in Igbo. Yes. So, yeah. So the Ilu means if you're running for your life. If you are running for your life, you will not get tired. So if somebody's trying to kill you and they're chasing you, you're not going to get tired, right? You're not going to get tired. And I'm trying to see what you guys think this Ilu means, though it seems that everybody's too scared to give me their interpretation, right? Let me see if I can. Okay, this is a better way to see the chat. Okay, perfect. And mute myself. All right. Let the audience say, hey, I love this. I get this. Give me time to think. Awesome. Yeah. If you guys need time to think, don't let me pressure you. Be cool. Yeah. Okay. So Haha says, I think the saying means when you have the right motivation, you will always have the energy to do something. It's a good one. That's a very, very good one. All right. That's dope. Again, ha 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 ha. I don't. You're killing me with that name, man. Ha 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 says, I think the saying means when you have the right motivation, you will always have the energy to do something. That's dope. Snapple and Cat says, I'm thinking, LOL. Cybaria says, anxiety, fight or flight response. If you're running for your life, you're driven to save your life. Your body's natural adrenaline. Very nice. Very nice. I like that one. Creative Force says, if you're anxious, you won't become depressed. Anxiety has its usefulness. Otherwise, why fear? Very interesting. Creative Force. I don't know if you want to elaborate on that one. That's really interesting. Okay, can I repeat the Ilu again? Yes. The Ilu says, Ibo sondo, ike agagi agugi. Ibo sondo, ike agagi agugi. I'm trying to speak central. My dialect, we say, Ibo sondo, ike agagi agugi. But agagi, I can't say that he. That's central Igbo. Ike agagi agugi, right? So if you are running for your life, you will never get tired. You'll never run out of energy. If you're running for your life, you'll never be tired. All right? That's the Ilu. If you're running for your life, you will never get tired. Let me see what somebody else has to say. Okay, repeat again. It sounds straightforward to me. Nice. I'm not really sure what to add, to be honest. That's a good answer, too. Yeah. That's a good answer, too. Somebody says, I've been running nonstop for a long time. Well, damn, that's deep. I hope if it's rest you're looking for, I hope you find that. Right? Do it. If you remain true to yourself or your destiny, you'll always have the energy to push forward. Very interesting. No matter how difficult it gets. And this is the good thing about an Ilu, is that you're seeing all these different interpretations of it, right? All of these different interpretations of the same thing. We're all kind of saying the same thing, but we're all saying different aspects of the same thing, right? Like if it's a sun, these are all different rays from the same source. So this is awesome. Where are we at? Johnson, I know the feeling. You have to take a leap of faith. Wow, powerful. Awesome, awesome, awesome. If you're not being chased, then there's nothing to be afraid of. Anxiety and being sedentary don't mix. That's a good one. That's a good one. All right, let's see. Udochi says, if your drive is coming from your life force, you won't hunger or desire for an artificial source of strength and power. Damn! That's dope. I like that. In the context, In what context would you say this to someone, right? Um, you know the context I would say it? If somebody has to give a speech in front of a crowd, right? Or they got to go live in front of a bunch of people and they're nervous, right? They're jittery, right? And then I tell them, Ibosondo, Ike, Agagi, Agogi. That's how I would use it, right? That's one of the situations I would use it, right? Um, yeah, that's one of the situations I'd use it in. Ibosondo, right? I also think of those situations where, you hear about the mothers who like maybe their child is stuck under a car and next thing you know, she lifts the damn car and pulls the kid out, right? Ibosondo, Ike, Agagi, Agogi, right? Or you say I can't climb a tree, and all of a sudden somebody shows up with a gun, and you just right up. That's what I see. So creative force is killing the game out here. Nice. Okay. If you're okay, yeah, I read that one. Well, context good. Bringing my family home to Nigeria to be at mental peace. He said, thank you, TTL. Okay, dope. Good answer. Makes sense to me. If you're true to yourself, you will find it is more than enough to accomplish everything. Ah, damn, Larry. All right. Chop on G. Larry's really from the soil, man. That's what's up. Courage. Okay, dope. All right. All right, you guys ready for my interpretation? Are you guys ready for my interpretation of the Ilu? Oh, that's my brother-in-law, Larry. Oh, okay. He said, okay, good to meet you, Larry. Very nice to meet you. Thank you for joining. I'm hearing yes. I'm seeing yes. Uh, Gani. Yes, Gani. Okay, no problem. Yeah, will do. Yes, interpret away. Okay. My interpretation of the Ilu, Ibosondo, Ike Agadi Agoge. Um, the way a lot of, when it comes to fear, one of the things our ancestors emphasize is that fear is not something you're supposed to get rid of, right? Fear is a type of wisdom, right? It's understood as a type of wisdom. Fear is also seen as something that once you understand it as a type of wisdom, you then understand that it can be placed in different situations. And it's not something that happens to you. It is something that you are very much in control of. Now, what does that mean, right? Ibosondo, Ike Agagi Agogi. That means that if you are running for your life, you'll never get tired, right? So in the West, we have this thing we call anxiety, where our mind is on something that could possibly happen or something that's in the future, and then all of these nerves start arising. Maybe we start feeling tense and tight, and our breathing changes, our heart rate changes, that kind of thing, because we fear what could possibly happen, right? But at the same time, right, and oftentimes like fear of failure, rejection, harm, so on and so forth, right? But oftentimes, what our ancestors will tell you is that the thing that you do at an excellent level, the thing that you are excellent about, right? The thing that you do best, when you do it, you're going to feel fear. When you do that thing, you're going to feel fear. And once you feel that fear, you will do that thing beyond your own capacity. All right? So if you are a singer and you are good at singing, and every single time you get on stage, you feel a little nervous, that nervousness is the fuel that is making you exceed what you knew you were capable of. If you are a good writer, and every time you sit down with your paper and your pen or your laptop and you start feeling anxious, that fear is going to make sure you do the writing to a level beyond what you knew you were capable of. Every time you step to something that you care about, something that is important to you, right? You're going to feel anxious. You're going to feel let's call it a pain, right? You're going to feel nerves, whatever you want to call it. That thing you're feeling is your propellant. It is not against you, right? It's your jet fuel. It's the thing that combusts and makes you go forward at a speed that you weren't aware that you can even go, right? A lot of us who are anxious, right? When you'll often hear this thing where people have anxiety or they're anxious, and then people will be like, "Oh, I didn't know you had anxiety. You have such good social skills. Oh, I didn't know you had anxiety. You're so good with people." Da, 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 right? It's the anxiety that's making you good, right? A lot of the times, right? If the anxiety is behind you, pushing you forward, that's what's making you good. That's what's making you do that thing well. And then it confuses people because they say, "Okay, you do this thing so well. I thought I thought you were shy. You said you were shy, but you're so good with people, or you're so social." Da, 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 da. It's that fear that's making that thing happen, right? Fear in the human being is a manifestation of ekwensu, right? The spirit known as the abara known as ekwensu. Ekwensu is known as the abara that is feared by the other abara. Ekwensu is the abara that Chuku places. There's a lot to Ekwensu. I got a video called Ekwensu Explained, so if you guys want to know that then or understand more about that, then go there. But whenever Chuku wants something done correctly, Ekwensu is either said to do that thing or to watch over that thing. Anytime you do a ritual or anytime you give a sacrifice, Ekwensu is overhead. Ekwensu is watching, right? Anytime you are in a competition or you're in a situation that is challenging, but it's your God-given, or let me not say God because chi and God is not the same. It's what your chi gave you, a mission your chi gave you. You're going to fear that mission. It's going to scare you. It's going to feel bigger than you, right? And once you feel that fear, Ekwensu is present. Ekwensu is present. And that propellant, right? That explosive energy, because Ekwensu is an explosive energy. That energy, it's what's going to make you activate your Ikenga. Because if you want to go deep into it, right? The Ikenga and Ekwensu are linked. The Ikenga and Ekwensu are linked. When your Ikenga is active, you're either going to be nervous or your body, you may not call it nervous, but your body will do all the exact same things that you previously classified as nervous, right? So our ancestors don't believe that fear or anxiety is something you're supposed to get rid of. When you start feeling that anxiety, it is your chi giving you what it's needed to excel at that thing, right? When we start believing that we should get rid of these things, we start being overwhelmed when they appear. And we start feeling that we were wronged by their appearance, right? That I'm feeling anxious, that I'm being wronged by my body, or I'm being wronged by the situation. Oh, I can't do that. I have anxiety. Or not, let me not say I have anxiety, because I feel like anxiety disorder is an entirely different thing. But the anxious emotion, not the anxiety disorder, the anxious emotion, right? When you feel that anxious emotion, it is the presence of the Ekwensu energy. That energy is what's going to assure you do that thing right. The reason you are anxious is because you want to do that thing right at a level beyond the average person, a level higher than what the average person can comprehend. Even if it's something small as dating, right? You ever, I don't, it's a lot easier to do a first date with somebody you are not interested in than somebody who you are very interested in, right? Somebody you are very interested in, you're going to stumble on your words a little bit more. You're going to be kind of paranoid about, oh, how do I look? Is this way? Is that this way? And then guess what that paranoia does? It makes you present yourself in the best possible way. And when you're about to speak, oh, I hope I don't say this. And then all of a sudden you're speaking at your best possible capacity, right? You guys are now flowing, right? And it's not because you got rid of the fear, now you're flowing. It's the fear that's making you flow that way, right? So Odinani Ndibo and a lot of African systems, they are world affirming, right? There's nothing in the world that you have to get rid of. There's nothing about yourself that you are supposed to get rid of, right? Or you're not supposed to suppress or whatever. It's about learning to live with those things, right? It's about learning to live with those things rather than, oh, my chi made a mistake, let me fix it over here. Or Chukwu made a mistake, let me fix. Or there's something wrong with Anna, let me fix her over here. Or something wrong with Igwe, let me fix him over there. No, it is learning to live in the neighborhood with all these things, including your emotions, right? That's one of the things that's very different between the Eurasian thought systems and the African thought systems, right? Or like Oh man. Yeah, okay, the African thought systems within the specific geographic zone that I'm talking about, but we know what we're saying, right? Um, the difference is a lot of times in the Eurasian thought systems, there's a lot of things you're supposed to get rid of so that you can be better. There's a lot of things that you're supposed to suppress so that you can improve. In the African systems, it's about understanding those things and living with those things, right? And accepting those things and saying that fear feels this way and this feeling isn't necessarily comfortable, right? But guess what happens when I put this fear behind me and it's pushing me forward rather than pushing against me, right? So the alchemy of the whole thing, right? The instinct of the whole thing is learning how to use anxiety, use fear to your advantage because it is 100% there for your advantage. It is 100% there for your advantage, right? The people, if you go check somebody who does something very well or who occupies the space that their chi created them to occupy at a very high level, you will then ask that person, you'll find that they get nervous every time they do that thing or they are that person, right? They shy away from it. So that their natural inclination is to shy away from it, that type of thing, or to deny it first because it's big, it's scary, right? That okay, the me as I am, I can't do that thing. Me as I am, I can't do that thing. And then the anxiety comes, right? There's nothing wrong with that thought. But just know that anxiety that comes is saying, you're not going to do this as you. You're not going to do this alone. I'm doing this with you. So of course you feel like you can't. If we all have to push a car, I'm going to look at the car and say, oh, I can't push that car. But if 30, 40 other people came to help me, right? I'll then know, okay, now we can push this car. Consider the anxiety one of the we, right? Consider the anxiety one of the we. Your anxiety is there to help you push forward. The principle of ekwensu and the principle of anxiety and the principle of fear are the exact same thing as the principle of combustion, right? In an engine, the fiery explosion that makes that thing move is the exact same thing. It's the principle of the ikenga, right? It's the fiery thing that makes something move. It's the explosive thing that makes that thing move, that gives that thing energy, power, right? And it's not the car. It's not the car that's moving. It's not the actual vehicle that's moving. It's the fire, the explosion in there is a part of it. That's one of the we's that say, no, car, you're not going to drive alone. You're driving with me, right? It's not, oh, I can't just do this by myself. Of course, I'm not going to do it by myself. You're going to get gas in there. That gas is going to explode. You're going to move forward, right? To use a drawn out analogy, right? So our ancestors don't see emotions or feelings as something you're supposed to get rid of. They are something you're supposed to understand, appreciate, and live with, right? So that if something sad happens and you're sad, you're supposed to feel that way, I think one of the things that happens in like the modern West is there's kind of an entitlement to good feeling, right? There's this entitlement to good feeling, and there's this idea that if you're not feeling good, something wrong is happening, something bad is happening, and that couldn't be further from the truth. There's no such thing as a good or a bad feeling. There's just feelings. They're just what it is, right? And you live with them. They all exist with you. And part of life is understanding, okay, you are a part of my household, my internal universe. Right? You are one of the things that float around. Apologies. You're one of the things that float around in my internal universe. And you and I need to work together to move forward, right? That kind of thing. So like, for example, anytime I'm doing something that you guys may assume I'm doing well, I get nervous as hell, right? I get very nervous, right? And then I start doing that thing and then by the time it's over, I'm like, oh, I didn't even know I did all that. Right? That kind of thing. I look forward to getting anxious about something. I look forward to fearing something. I look forward to being intimidated by something now, right? Because when you're running for your life, you don't get tired. Even the Chinese, Sun Tzu Art of War, one of the principles in the Sun Tzu Art of War is that you should never corner your enemy. You should never leave your enemy in a corner, right? Because if your enemy is in a corner, they are going to be fighting for their life in a way that you are not. And that person's going to win. The person who's in the corner is going to win because the thing propelling them towards you is stronger than just you, no matter who that enemy is. If you back somebody into a corner, the person in the corner is now stronger than you, if they're aware of what's going on within them anyways, which even if they're not, right? So that book says that what you always have to do is make sure that the person has an escape route. Why? That person has an escape route. Even if you have a corner, you give them a little space so they can escape through that space. You always make sure that the person you're facing or the thing you're facing has an escape route, right? Because again, if anxiety, if the Ekwensu energy is an explosion, a fiery explosion, you want to channel that energy or that explosion anywhere but towards you. Because when anxiety is facing against you, it's looking at me, I'm looking at it, and it charges towards me, it's going to win. That's how you get crippling anxiety, right? On an interpersonal, on an inner level. That's how you get crippling anxiety, because that thing charged at you would knock your ass out, right? If that same thing is inside of a human being and it charges at me, it's over. I don't know. I know a lot of you guys haven't lived in a rural setting, right? But one of the most horrifying things on God's green earth, one of the most horrifying things that I had to witness in life is a chicken that is afraid of me charge at me, right? If a chicken charges at you in fear, the chicken's going to win. The chicken is 100% going to win. It is like I've had dogs chase me. What else has chased me in this world? Mainly just dogs and chickens. I had a chicken in the village chase me because as a kid, I was chasing it. I backed it into a corner and I was going to catch it. And this chicken said, "Not today." Whap, and came right at me, man. All of a sudden, this little thing becomes, and you can Google 100 animal videos. You can Google 100 animal videos where it's like a little rat and some larger predator backs it into a corner and the rat starts coming after the predator and the predator runs away, right? So all of those things, anxiety, all of that stuff, exactly, yeah. All that stuff, somebody said definitely like a rat in the corner. Exactly, a rat in the corner, you're not going to win. It's going to scare the hell out of you because now it's that Ekwensu energy coming at you, right? That's Osond, the run of life, something that's running for its life. Right? If something is running for its life and something is running for food or running to win a race or anything, the one that's running for its life is going to win, period. The fight for survival is the ultimate, There's no defeating that. Immediate survival. Like I can see death right there, right? That kind of thing, right? So if you understand the things I'm talking about, a lot of it is the same in the Yoruba culture. And Fela, one of his names, I can't pronounce it, but the long one that starts with an A is he who carries death in his pouch, right? He who carries death in his pouch. He's not saying he got rid of death, right? He didn't meditate and transcend death or whatever, what they talk about in like Eurasia where, I've gotten rid of death. I'm immortal now. Woo, woo, woo. No, death is in my pouch, right? I know death is around. I know death is coming, but I carry it around. It doesn't come at me. I move around with it. That kind of thing. That's Odinani. All of these different things. Just because something is difficult or doesn't feel good doesn't mean it shouldn't exist. That type of thing. Because again, that fear is what makes you excellent. That anxiety is what makes you do something at a different level. I promise you, like if you think of the best comedian in the world, think of the best athlete in the world, they are horrified when they're doing what they're doing. And they're more horrified than the people they're playing against. And it won't make sense unless you kind of understand what I'm saying. So the ilu is Ibo Sondo, Ike Agage Agugi, right? Which if you are running for your life, you will never tire, right? If you're running for your life, you will never tire. If that thing, fear, is your propellant, you will be a you that you didn't know was in you. Right? It's still you, it's still your chi, but when your chi wants you to supersede the one it gave you to walk around with on a day-to-day basis, it's going to feel like fear, right? It's going to feel like fear. Anytime Chukwu makes laws, anytime Chukwu makes dictates or says this is how things or organizes the world or does whatever, Chukwu places Ekwensu there to make sure that everybody follows what was said. So if your chi says, go into that battle, you are going to win, and all of a sudden you start getting scared, just know that that fear is your weapon, right? But you can be afraid of your weapon and then decide, and then all of a sudden you've been defeated before you were defeated, right? So that's really it, y'all. I don't know why I keep burping so much, but I've noticed people always burp when they're alive or get like whatchamacallit. One, probably not eating the right thing. Two, anxiety. I recently heard a Chinese proverb that reminded me that warning people. Wait, what? Okay, I recently heard a Chinese proverb that reminded me of that warning against people with shoes trying to fight people without. Yeah, yeah, we call that the Vietnam War. We call that the Vietnam War. Yeah, people with shoes have no business fighting people that don't have shoes, you know? You know, it's so funny that America always gets into all these. I'm not going to say too much because YouTube actually gave this thing that's like, if you mention a certain thing that's going on in a disparaging or whatever way, so I don't want the algorithm to misinterpret what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. That's a whole different thing. But I'm saying that, you know, I was having this conversation with my brother, and we were talking about, you know, how the Vietnam War, and just the idea is ridiculous because, like, if you kill a dog in front of an American, you're gonna ruin that person's life. Like, it's gonna traumatize them, right? Talk about people who can't grab a chicken and cut its head off comfortably, right? And then you think you can go shoot people, and the person you're shooting, like, he's been at this for, man, come on, man. Yeah, that's called the Vietnam War. Yeah. I could go on more and more on that, but let me not do that today. I get too comfortable in these lives. Yeah, you can't. Some of these people we keep trying to fight, it's like, you know, like we get depressed when like a cartoon animal dies. Talk less of a human being, bro. A cornered animal always is dangerous. Yes, yes, a cornered animal is always the most dangerous. Wonderful. That's from Sun Tzu. Yes. African view on feelings makes more inherent sense to me. To be honest, a lot of Western view can be pathologized feelings, can really pathologize feeling at times. Yeah, yeah, because in the West, the big idea is that some things are good and some things are bad. It's a Christian thing. Things are just everything. There's a line in the world, and this is over here, and this is over here. And all of these things over here need to go away. And all these things here need to multiply or step out of their natural bounds and be bigger than they are. It's a Christian idea, right? God is all good. So if God is all good, the bad things don't really belong in the world. They're not supposed to be there. That's why, like, you know, people, you know, be a real good Catholic, and then all of a sudden they see like there's a war in the world, and is God real? I'm not a Catholic no more, man. This is fake. That kind of thing, right? So a lot of that comes, it's like a Abrahamic thinking, right? That everything, you know, is supposed to be good. That God is all good. So things that aren't good aren't actually of God. They're not supposed to exist. And then it gets into this weird space where after the scaffolding of your perspective is like that or similar to that, it's hard to view things and accept things as they are, or for what they are, because you're always placing them, is this a good feeling or bad feeling? Right? Is this good or bad? Is this up or down? Is this whatever or whatever, right? And it's not that the African worldview doesn't have binaries or doesn't have like, I don't know if binaries is a word, but it doesn't have like dualities. It does have dualities, but the African worldview says both of those things have to exist. And if one goes away, the other one is the good. If the bad one goes away, the good one's going to go with it, right? If the bad one goes away, if drowning goes, if you can no longer drown people, you can no longer drink water, right? There's an ilu that says the water that drowns your child is the water you'll drink, right? And the water that drowns your child is the water you will drink. So if I want to get rid of drowning, there's no more drowning. I'm good. The actual solution is to get rid of water and just go ahead and just die, right? That kind of thing, which we're not trying to do, you know? And this goes on and on and on. There's hundreds of examples, right? So those polarities, right? It's not that one, they're not opposites. The word opposing, they don't oppose each other. One is not going to ultimately win over the other. They are like this. They are tied together. And if you throw one away, the other one goes in the trash with it. So the African worldview, a lot of things like feelings, relationships, things like that, they're not necessarily weighted on the idea of good and evil. They just are, and then you have to just make decisions based off of what you're looking at and what your intention is. Your intention is what's going to make something right or wrong, right? Or not right or wrong, good or evil. And the agreements you've made, right? The agreements you've made. Iwala, the laws of the land are agreements we have made with the land, with the earth. So long as I stand on this earth, so long as I'm an earthling, I'm not going to commit these crimes against the earth, right? If I commit these crimes, the earth is going to stop giving me what the earth gives me, which is sustenance, shelter, food, my physical, corporal existence, everything, right? So if I have these things, if I'm renting these things, I got to follow the rules by which, whatchamacallit. And then you now get this perspective, okay, whatever. But then if you go to another land and they also make an agreement with the land that they're on, their rules are going to look different. And there's no idea of mine is right, this one is wrong. It's just like, no, we've made two different agreements, right? And at the same time, if I haven't made that agreement, then it has nothing to do with that. It's not an abomination, as they call it now in English, right? Now we can make agreements as a society, and those are called laws, and we follow those. Those become another form of morality. Right? To be lawful, follow the laws, the agreements we have made as a collective society, the agreements we've made as a family, your ability to follow the agreements you've made, right? That's kind of where it comes from. But there's no idea that something is just capital G good and capital E evil, right? That's just not what it is, or that you're supposed to like. For example, now, our ancestors have an idea of enlightenment, right? There's the idea of becoming enlightened exists within Odinani. But the question is why, right? Are you just, it's not like, okay, you're down here and then you get enlightened and you're up here and that's where you're supposed to be, right? It's hey, there's coconuts up there, let me go up there and get them coconuts, that kind of thing, right? You're enlightening yourself for a reason. Enlightenment, somebody who seeks a path of enlightenment would be like an Nze, Adibia, and Ize, if we're using the real meaning of the term, and also all of those are different titles for somebody who has dedicated themselves to a path of enlightenment or to be a living representation of their chi, right? But there's a reason they're doing that, and not everybody's expected to do that. It's not like you must do that, right? It's not like for example, Buddhism, where it's like we're all trying to do that and go up, it's like, what's up there? What do you, that kind of thing. Okay, you see something up there, okay, that's going to benefit us or benefit you, fine. On you go, but it's not a must, right? Or it's not like somebody who does that is automatically has a better idea than somebody who doesn't. It's just a commitment somebody makes, right? That kind of thing. Like, oh, this kid chose to join the damn Boy Scouts. Okay, that's his choice. He's doing that. It's not that everybody on earth has to join that thing. So it's about appreciating the diversity of the universe. I don't mean like diversity like the US race census. I mean diversity in the things we share the world with. And then the diversity of you as a person. You think about yourself as a decentralized intelligence. And all these different feelings you have are different spirits or forces that float around in your universe. And they all have to exist there. If you look at the solar system, right? If you remove one planet from the solar system, the whole thing will be thrown off. The whole thing will be thrown off. If Mercury disappeared, we on Earth will be affected to the point where we might actually die, right? Because we're going to shift where we sit, which is perfect for us to exist, is going to shift, and then we're going to have issues, right? If Jupiter goes away, the whole thing is going to look funny, or it's not going to function the way it's supposed to function. Everything is there the way it's supposed to be. Everything is where it's at to keep things the way it is, right? If you want it to be different, fine, go ahead and tinker with it, that kind of thing. But you accepting all those things. I can't be like, oh man, Uranus, man, that's evil. Uranus, that's evil. We got to get rid of Uranus. We can't have no more Uranus in the society. That doesn't make any sense, right? Can't have no more Neptune in this universe. I got to get rid of Neptune, They already did my man Pluto in. Anxiety is a gift that helps us perform better. Chukwuigwe, 100%. Anxiety is the gift that helps you perform better. Anxiety is the feeling of your ikenga activating. Ekwensu, Amadioha. Any male Abara, any Abara that's a male, is a manifestation on the natural level of the Ikenga on the internal level, right? So the Ikenga and Amadioha are one and the same. Amadioha, you can say Amadioha is the Ikenga of Igwe or the sky or Chukwu on a natural level, right? That kind of thing. Ekwensu is the same. Ekwensu and Amadioha are interchangeable. It's the same thing. You know, people will tell you, oh, in my community we say this, and okay, it's the same thing. Some people say Udo. Some people will call Anyanwu. Some people say that it's Anyanwu. Some people will say Amadioha. Some people will say Kalu. Some people will say Njoku. Some people will say Ekwensu. All of it is one force known as Ogun. Ogun. All of it is one force called Ogun. O-G-U. Ogun. Right? And that is the Ofo. There's a principle in Odinani Igbo called Ofo Ogun. Ofo being Ofo is hard to explain. I have a video called Ofo Explained. If you're interested in the topic, go look it up. But Ofo is like Ofo is, let's call Ofo justice. The Ofo is justice, right? Ofo is justice. What is justice? I said it earlier. Justice is an agreement. You and I make an agreement to do something. I told you guys I was going live on Fridays. I missed last Friday. I did something unjust. That is unjust. I did something unjust to y'all. No, right? That kind of thing. I did something unjust. That's because I have a pact with you guys to go live on Fridays and I didn't do it. So that's a violation. This is me trying to make amends, right? That kind of thing. Ogun is the either punishment or assistance in order to actualize that justice. So that if we go live on Friday, if we follow the pact, everything that comes of that is called Ogun. Everything that comes from that is Ogun. If we are following the pact, the Ogun will be good. Ogunwama, right? Ogunwama. The Ogun is going to be good if we follow the pact that we set in place, right? That kind of thing. If I violate the pact, right, I'm going to have Ogunjo, bad Ogun, right? Which is probably why I was sick, right? Which is probably why I got sick yesterday, right? That kind of thing. And I had car trouble, you know? So if I violate the Ofo, the Ogun is the thing that watches and says, okay, you followed the pact, here's all the good things, right? Here's everything you need to make it happen. It will happen by will of your chi. It will be by will of your chi. That's Ogun. That's good Ogun. I violate that thing. Ogun is the one that smites me, right? Or Ogun is the one that opens the door for punishment to happen to me. Very complicated. The video I made called Ofo Explained, which is one of my favorites. Go check it out if you haven't. I literally, like in it, I was like, I cannot translate. I literally said this. I can't translate Ogun into English because there's a bunch of little parcel concepts in English, but they're all pieces of Ogun. It's not the whole thing, right? So it's impossible to translate Ogun in English, for at least for me. You know, somebody with a more vast vocabulary, maybe you'll be able to do it better. You know, some people said karma. Karma is a part of it. It's not the whole thing. You know, karma is a part of it. It's not the whole thing. But that being said, Ogun is the masculine attribute. Ofo is the feminine yes, very cool. So Ofo is the feminine attribute in that relationship. Anytime you see a male Abara, that is Ogun. That's all that is Ogun. That's the universal name you can call all of them. That is the role it plays. Or let me not say name, but that's the role it plays in that relationship. The feminine one is the Ofo. So in Igbo culture, I can take sand, aja, and say something, and it becomes binding. It's binding. If I'm holding sand and I say it, it's binding because I've swore upon an Ofo, with the earth being an Ofo, the feminine attribute, the Allah, right, being the feminine attribute. Allah then has the masculine attribute, Igwe, which is the Ogun, right? Allah Nigwe, right? So that when I violate the earth, providence is going to punish me, right? When I am in accord with the earth, when I am in accord with the agreements I and my ancestors have made with the earth, providence will favor me and move along with me and that kind of thing, right? So let's take it out of the nature level and bring it to the person. I have said I'm going to step on that stage and I'm going to do a comedy show, right? I'm going to do stand-up comedy, right? And I go up there and it's almost my turn, and all of a sudden I'm getting nervous. I'm getting nervous. Ogun has appeared. Ogun has appeared. You can call Ogun Ikenga. You can call it Amadioha. You can call it Ekwensu. You can call it Udo. You can call it Njoku. I've never heard somebody say the word. I don't know if it's Njoku or Njoku, but Njoku, because we don't say that in my area. Njoku. You can call it Kalu Akano. You can call it you can call it Kalu or Kano. You can call it there's 100 different things you can call it. But that thing has the masculine actualizer, right? The one that watches to see if your agreement to the earth was followed or not followed has showed up, right? If I keep to my agreement, which I didn't do on Friday, right? That Ogun is going to empower me. That Ogun is going to, all of a sudden, I'm moving with the force of Amadioha. I'm moving with the power of Ekwensu. I'm moving with the strength of Udo. I'm moving with the ability of Njoku, right? All of a sudden, that Ogun is pushing me. That type of thing, right? But, if I don't get on that stage and I start hearing that boo and all that stuff, right? And I'm spending my rest of my life regretting that one time that I should have gone on stage and I messed it up. The Ogun has violated me. There was an event that I had signed up to go to, and they kept jackassing me. For those who they kept jackassing me up and down. So as a son of my goddamn people, I took my stuff and said, you know what, I'm going home. I'm not going to even participate in this nonsense, because it was just like one ridiculous event after another, right? And I left, right? And the event ended up being this humongous success, and it would have been a great networking situation for me. It would have been a great situation for me, but I didn't receive the Ogun because I didn't keep to the agreement of staying, even though all that BS was happening, right? That kind of thing. And I regret it. Right now, I regret it, right? But that's Ogun, right? And one of the things about Unani is like, it's not like it's not about what do you believe, right? It's not about what I just said is cause and effect, right? Action and reaction. If you don't believe in action and reaction, cause and effect, that kind of thing, then yeah, you don't believe in whatever. If you don't believe violating the laws now opens you up to being punished, then yeah, you don't believe in Odinani Debo, that kind of thing. Run to it. It is waiting for you to succeed. He said, what's the difference between anxiety disorder and anxiety emotion? I'm not a psychologist or a counselor or anything in that field. So it's hard for me to say or to give like the answer. So I'm not the person for that. I can give you my own layman answer based on what I think. And what I think is anxiety is a feeling, whereas anxiety disorder is that feeling. How can I say this? Is when that feeling is not proportional to the situation. Right? So somebody with anxiety disorder, to my knowledge, could just feel anxious all day for absolutely no reason, for no identifiable reason, right? Somebody with, and I'm sure it's a spectrum too, so whatever, but somebody with anxiety disorder, the anxiety is not proportional to reality, right? Or to observe reality on the outside, that kind of thing. Somebody I'm very close to gets very, very anxious when she has to socialize with her own family, right? So something like that would be a disorder. Typically, when you see the word disorder, which I don't tend to use, but it's not my field, so the people who use it probably have a better reason than I can understand, or that I currently understand of using it. But typically, you say disorder is if that thing is getting in the way of you living the life you want to live. That's what a disorder is. Is this thing getting in the way of me living the life I want to live? If so, it is out of order. That this is the order I want for my life, and this thing is getting in the way, right? That kind of thing. Like, people don't get declared alcoholics until it becomes a problem, right? But some alcoholics drink less than some non-alcoholics. You understand? And I'm not talking about functional alcoholics too. It's a different thing. I'm talking about some people will binge drink on a regular basis and they don't have the addiction. You understand? But some people have the addiction. Maybe they'll have a drink a day, a glass of wine a day, that kind of thing. So I would imagine anxiety disorder is whatever the hell I just said. I missed it. So very good. Thank you. I appreciate it. I was like, wow, that's deep. Okay, cool. Have a certain amount of fear is good for you. Without fear, you can never know true courage. He said, for courage isn't the absence of fear, but its source. He said, yeah, there's people who think that courage is not being afraid. Courage is what I'm describing. Courage is when the fear is behind you, pushing you forward, rather than standing in front of you, pushing you backwards. And it is fear. Fear creates courage. Fear creates courage. Courage is not a separate thing from fear. You don't get rid of fear and gain courage. If you have no fear, you'll have no courage. If you have no fear, you have no courage. There are people that are they're not afraid of anything, right? Genuinely not afraid of anything. Very hard people to motivate. Very hard to get them to do things. Very hard for them to pick a task and go at it, or pick a mission and go at it, and that kind of thing. Their power to execute is diminished by their lack of fear. There are people who tend to be very good at things, and you'll notice they get very nervous when they're going to do that thing. This is pretty universal. I have very few examples of otherwise, right? There was a conversation I had. I was at the park, and I'm in the Midwest, so as is the law in the Midwest, a white person has to sit next to you and just start telling you random shit. So outside, this guy's telling me how the earth is flat and stuff. And like, I'm not disrespecting him, I'm listening, that kind of thing. Learned a couple of things. Earth is flat. His people came from a cave. They were cannibals, stuff like that. And then he told me something that really went, wow, that's profound, right? And he said he doesn't, and again, I'm not gonna do these warnings anymore. If you get emotional, just leave. But he said anxiety is when you live in the future, and depression is when you live in the past. That's what he said. That he doesn't believe in either. He thinks they're the same thing, and one is the other, one is the other. He said, don't quote me, that the same medicine is used for both, right? I don't know if that's true or not. I didn't look into it. But the statement prior to that was what I found profound. I believe that, thought it was true. I've never felt anxiety without living in the future that doesn't exist, without putting my head into the future. I've never been depressed without putting myself in the past and that kind of thing. And practicing living in the present and being present and being in the moment is good for balancing your relationship with both of those aspects of self, because you do need to go to the past. And it's inevitable that you do anyways. It's not like you choose. People who are depressed don't choose to be in the past, right? If that's what's going on. But they don't choose it. They're there, right? And people who are anxious do not choose to live in the future, right? They're there. Something put them there, right? That kind of thing. But finding ways to practice being present and that kind of thing, I believe, is good for mending your relationship with both of those feelings. I don't mean get rid of, I mean mending your relationship, making it better. Okay, we need to be in the past real quick. All right, come on in. It's kind of dirty over here, but that's a good relationship with the past, right? That type of thing. We need to go to the future real quick. All right, but you're gonna feel funny. All right, no problem. Let's go. That's a good relationship with it, right? Some people have an anxiety that causes them to avoid being in the future. I saw something on Twitter where somebody was explaining self-sabotaging. And they said that the reason I think they self-sabotage is because it gives them control of the future. right? That their biggest fear is the idea of not being able to control the future. But if they know that I'm going to mess this thing up on purpose, or I'm going to make sure this thing doesn't happen, they now have control of that future. Which, for those people who don't think that way, it's kind of hard to imagine what that means or looks like. But for me, it gave me insights into what it is. Are you guys, this channel is a part? What? What? Okay, I'm scrolling up, but I'll catch up with whatever the heck you guys are laughing about. I don't know what's so funny. Okay, I've caught up. All right. That's deep. All right, cool. Yes, anxiety is a gift that helps with hormone. Emo fuel, eco fuel, petro fuel. Oh, damn, creative force. You said, there you go. Anxiety is fuel. Fear is fuel. All of that is fuel. It was always supposed to be. It was, all fuels are explosive. All fuels are explosive. All fuels create fire. All fuels feel bad to the skin when activated, right? All fuels feel bad. Oh, we finally made it to the same stream. Okay. Oh, okay. So I guess y'all be knowing each other. Check it out. What do we call it? I need. I'm not gonna try to say it, but yeah, that's the Creative Force posted fellas the name I was talking about. I can't say it. And there's too much going on for me to like sit down and read. I think the sparkle is life when you find the urge. Yeah, that's dope. That's how Biafrans fought their bare hands against the British. He said, so he says, this is how Biafrans fought with their bare hands against the British, Nigerians, Russians, Egyptians. They were there too. Who else? Literally just every country you can imagine except Haiti and Tanzania. So shout out to Haiti and Tanzania. And on the low, France. Pre-Christian Europe ideas, heaven idea were pretty funny. Yeah, exactly. A binary is different. I don't know if my screen's frozen. Ogun sounds a bit similar to karma. Very similar to karma, not completely the same thing. Yes, Vietnam is where everybody was fighting and the US could not win. So yeah, they had been at it for like 150 years, and you're gonna show up. One of them boys pop out of a hole on you. There you shit. Sex Finder Pro says my hot photo here. All right. This channel. Why do I get direct messages? Chat disconnected. All right, maybe I'm tripping. All right, so if I'm still live, I don't know if I'm still live. It says my chat is disconnected. I was trying to catch up on you guys' comments. If I'm still live, I'm going to make a few announcements before I hop. The payment plan option is officially available for Kedu. So I'm going to post the... Is the chat still on? Somebody say something, because it's saying that it's disconnected. Okay, yeah, it's still on. Okay, yeah, cool. Okay, so this other screen is messed up. Let me do this and see if I can fix it. Somebody's saying something about bots. Somebody's mentioning the feds open. Oh, shit. There we go. Fine. All right, hold on. Though I still don't understand this. Very literal example that I don't understand this. This channel a few months ago. Snapple and Cat. Lectin. I don't know. Lectin, do you have like I don't know, do you make videos? I feel like I've seen your name somewhere else. I don't know if you make videos or maybe you've like commented on something and then I'm tripping. All right, yeah, okay, yeah, I'm still here. The livest. You said, yeah, we still the livest. Hold on, let me catch up on everybody. Ooh, consequence following. We're gonna follow, sorry, I guess. Do you know about Udo and Ogungun? Yes, Udo and Ogungun is the same relationship. Ogungun is Omumu, which is the feminine energy. Udo is Ikenga, which is the masculine energy. So when you see those relationships, Ogungun Udo, Igwe Nala, Ofo Nogun, Chi. Oh, actually, it's supposed to be Eke na Chi. Somebody what's his name? Why did I say what's his name? That's disrespectful. Hugo Serious Art, we had a conversation. I'm going to be posting very soon. And he says Eke Nachi. I'm going to say Chineke because I'm not trying to like rewire my brain, but it makes more sense because in all those dualities, the feminine comes first, right? Eke Nachi, Alanigwe, Ofonogu, Madonna, Mo, all those different things. It's the exact same thing. So when somebody says Ogun Udo, Ogun is the Omomo, the feminine energy. Udo is the masculine Ogun energy, the Ikenga, right? That's the Ogun. Ofo, Ogun. Ogun is the Ofo. Udo is the Ogun, Ogun, right? That kind of thing. Ogun is medicine. Where are we at? I've been here a few times. I didn't make a video. Oh, okay, maybe I've seen you before. Lexon just has a presence, man. Maybe that's what it is. All right, y'all. I think you guys have ran out of questions, I guess, so it's time for me to hop. Unless you guys, I'll give you guys a little bit more if anybody's got another question. In fact, I'll just say what I need to say and begin heading out. If you guys have questions, go ahead and ask while I'm speaking. But once I pick up that UFO, it's a wrap. So first and foremost, if you are interested in learning the Igbo language, we have launched an Igbo language school at www.kedu.me. Igbo language school at www.kedu.me. All right, so Kedu is I don't even know if I want to use the word school because I deconstructed how Igbo is traditionally taught, like in like this modern day. And I wanted to follow a more ancestral approach as far as how we do it. And I wanted to understand the language at its granular level and make the teaching of it not a replica of teaching English. So it's not a situation where you get there and it's like, oh, this is how you say dog. Dog is nkita. This is how you say car. Car is ubwala. We're not doing that, right? So one of the things we do at Kedu that I'm very happy about is that we'll take like a word like ubo and we'll do like uboelu is plane, of course. Ubwala is car. Ubo miri is whatever. So what is ubo? Let's examine. What is that thing? What does that mean, right? Oh, it means vehicle. I don't know if it means vehicle because in this situation it doesn't. That kind of thing. We go very, very, very deep on each concept so that with the Igbo language, I've come to find, and it's been working, you only need to know a few words, right? Because what happens with Igbo is that every word says so many things that once you learn the verbs in the Igbo language, I'm giving you guys a secret sauce, by the way. So if you take a look at Kedu and maybe it's not something, oh, I can't afford that right now, or I don't know if I got time, go ahead and you can go learn on your own, right? So this is the secret sauce. If you learn the verbs in the Igbo language on an intimate level, right? So D, something like D. If you learn that word on an intimate level, you unlock 100 different words and they all come naturally. They come naturally because the Igbo language is closer to mathematics. It's very close to mathematics, where if you know 0 to 9, you will also know what 156,000 is. You'll know what 21 is. You'll know what 13 is because you know the digits that everything is built off of, right? So what we do at Kedu is we teach you those digits and we really emphasize in giving you a deep understanding of them. And we also learn from a place of resonance. So you're not just, again, dog is nketa, we structure the situation so that you are learning based off of the objective of being yourself in a different language, being who you are in the Igbo language, right? You're learning things that are relevant to you as a person, so on and so forth. And so far, 3 months, we've got people speaking, I myself need to take Igbo 3, right? We just hired a really awesome Igbo 3 teacher. So I myself need to take Igbo 3 because I need to polish out some things like pronunciation and perfect it before I can now say I'm a certified speaker in the language. But either way, there's different levels. I say that to say there's different levels as far as Kedu goes. The payment plan is now available. So those of you who looked at the price and ran off, the payment plan is now available. So you can do small payments on a monthly as you go, and that kind of thing. So payment plan is now available. It became available today, which is the 15th for Kedu. So if you're trying to learn the Igbo language this year in a comfortable, safe space and community, following the method that is most true to our ancestors and most true to the language itself. I can't talk. Most true to the language itself. Come to Death Row, which is www.kedu.me. What else? Oh yeah, the Patreon. Am I crazy? If you are interested in supporting the Medicine Shell, we have developed a community at patreon.com/the Medicine Shell. All of my patrons have full access to my in-house library, my medicine library. The medicine library is a collection of every single thing that I use in my research to learn all these things, right? So it is all delineated based off of topics. So if it's Udochi had asked about she has her folder. Allah, all these different things. Ikenga, Insibidi, Uli, Agun, being a Dibia, things like mental health, sexuality, science, all these, they're all broken up into the different topics so that it's organized. But there's like, if you just took all the folders away and looked at the files themselves, well over 300 different documents in there. There are documents, photos, articles, journals, and books. If you're interested in the books, they're all over there, but go to the recommended folder, and then I have like a recommended reading list. So if you want to like fully master Igbo cosmology on a cognitive level, to understand it on an intellectual level, I have a reading list that starts from like least complicated to the most severely complicated thing you'll ever pick up in your life. So far, I think the winner for most complicated is Leopards of the Magic Dawn. Where is it? Oh, let me show you guys the book I'm reading right now. Hold on. The only thing I've read so far that's almost as dense and complicated as Leopards is this one right here, Healing Insanity. This is what I'm reading right now, a study of Igbo medicine. I can't even read it because it's backwards looking. Study of Igbo medicine in contemporary Nigeria by Patrick Iroebu. And so this is what I'm reading right now. Of course, I'm skipping around based off the topics that are interesting to me. I was just reading one on mental health. So if you're a patron, we are going to be having a very interesting discussion on mental health as far as the way our ancestors saw mental health and the treatment of mental health. There is a wide and very interesting Dibia discipline, a discipline of Dibia and Izmy, known as Dibiara, which gets translated. This is why you need to join Kedu. It gets translated, Ara gets introduced or translated as madness in Igbo, but it's not necessarily that. According to this book, it says that Ara is not madness. Ara is not madness. Ara is any non-social behavior, is what it said. Any non-social behavior or any any repetitive non-social behavior. Let me put it that way. Any repetitive non-social behavior is Ara. So there's a whole. Let me put it in English. There's a psychiatric ancestral psychology, right? How they treated psychiatric patients, how they treated psychiatric disorders, what things they identified as psychiatric disorders, so on and so forth. So if you are interested in this topic, we're going to be having a discussion, not this Sunday, but next Sunday on the Patreon. We always have like really good discussions. That's going to be the next one. So again, if you are a patron, you get the library, you get the access to the library, you get the live discussions like the one I'm talking. If you're not able to make it on Sunday, there'll be a recording. I still need to upload the recording of the last one, so apologies on that. And then you get access to the library, so you get to know which market day it is, what moon you're under, and then different holidays and observance observances in Igbo culture. Those of you who, and Igbo culture is very diverse, so every community is going to have its different things, even though, like, if you study it deep enough, you'll see it's not really that different. They're going to have their different things. So if you're from whatever community you're from, if you're one generation removed or you're at home right now and you got some holidays that you want to put on the calendar, message me. I want to add some more communities holidays. Right now, the Onitsha people have given me the whole rundown of what happens there. So a lot of the holidays are Onitsha holidays. And then I got a couple from my place, and that's about it right now. So I'm trying to add more from different places. But the moons are what they are, and the market days are what they are, and those are pretty universal and don't change. So that being said, this thing is the chat went away, so I'm going to check and see if there's any more. Let's go to live chat. What? Nah, I'm probably going to accidentally close out, by the way, because this thing's tripping. But I can't see the chat anymore. Okay, there we go. All right. I need to get back on the Patreon account because this DSM has been frustrating me. All right, cool. Let's see. All right, Snapple, I would really like to see you in the conversation. So yeah, let's get back on there. Mental health is important. Mental health is very important. Yeah. Growing up, did your parents speak Igbo at home? Yeah, my parents spoke Igbo at home and spoke Igbo to us. Though they spoke Igbo. There was a time where when we came to America, one of our Nordic Caucasian teachers had told my parents that they couldn't understand what we were saying. And so my dad made a rule that we can only speak English in the house so that he can make our English catch up. But all the way till we were teenagers, it just because we were really young when he made that rule. So then speaking Igbo got really awkward for us, right? It just felt like, oh, we're doing something bad. And he didn't intend to have that like effect. I talked to him about it. He's like, yeah, he regrets that. But they spoke Igbo to each other and they spoke Igbo to us. But we didn't really converse in Igbo because we'd always respond to them in English. That was just a goofy choice we as kids would make. But yeah, our parents spoke Igbo in the house. Let's go to, I'm trying to open the chat again. It keeps going away. And then I have it on my laptop, but it's saying that there's no connection on the laptop. I'm trying to see if I can catch the last few questions before I hop out. If I don't figure this thing out, I'm going to go. You guys can ask me on Patreon. Where are we at? All right. See here. All right, there. Udo nwanne. Nzadi, Udo nwanne. Growing up, okay, yeah, period. There, come to death row. Hey, Nia said, hey, if you don't want YouTube all in the video, posting their ads, dancing, come to death row. Yeah. Yeah, the Patreon, we the new death row. Oh, no, not say that. Everybody has said they're the new death row has had bad ogu, so I'm gonna not say that. But yeah, come to death row. This skin deep. There you go. I'm gonna see if any more. How close is Yoruba and Igbo? At a point, they were the same language. They estimate 6,000 to 5,000 years ago, they were the same language. They're very close to each other. Very, very, very close to each other. If you write out each language and you speak them well, you speak one of them well, you can come close to deciphering what the other one is saying. But that being said, they are different languages. So it would be like just a rough guess. I'm going to assume the difference between, I don't know. I don't even want to say German and English. If German and English were African languages, they'd be considered the same language, two dialects of the same language. You know, that's a whole different discussion because it's the same language. But maybe Italian and English. I don't know, but they're close. It's easy to learn one if you know the other. Like Yoruba, I think ear is eti, E-T-I. On Igbo, ear is nti. In Yoruba, woman is, or mother is iya. And then a lot of women's titles in Igbo will have em or iom as the thing, like ndinyem, that kind of thing. So just little things like that, you know. Yeah. Yeah, Ogun, consequence for following and obeying the all fall. Yes, yes. Okay, Ogun is a consequence for or result, the effect of following slash disobeying the awful. But Ogun is more so what opens up the door for the consequence to happen. So you can have bad Ogun and nothing bad happens to you, right? But there's something the universe. There's a debt, right? So you can call that aspect karma. There's a debt you have to pay, and it's eventually going to come to you, but it won't. It may not be right away. It may be your descendants, right? It may be when you're an old man or woman, and that kind of thing. Say come to death. Ah, Nia, you killing me. Ah, they sure will tell you the most random things. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh man, yeah. I grew up in the Midwest, and so I'm just so used to it. And when I got to Texas, that didn't exist, and so it was like it was a culture shock moving or even visiting the Midwest, and then having that happen again. You know, I remember I went to Lincoln, the town I used to live in when I grew up in, and I was just walking, and this guy turned. No, no, no. Me and my friend were sitting down, we're having this conversation, and I'm gonna quote his words, right? Me and my friend were having this like Nordic Norwegian young man came and sat down next to us, and we're talking to each other, and he's just kind of like waiting for us to stop talking, and we're talking. After a while, you kind of look like, do we know you kind of thing? But we kind of look like, what's going on? And he's like, I just broke up with his words. I just broke up with my transsexual girlfriend. Nobody asked him. Nobody asked him, right? And it wasn't. We weren't. That's not the topic we're talking about. So we look at him, and we look at each other like, okay, what do we say next? And then we look back at him, and he's like, I knew. And then from there we became friends, right? That's how things work in the Midwest, you know. So this guy came and sat next to me, started telling me how the Earth was flat, how his ancestors were cave dwellers that used to eat people, how what was the other one he was telling me? And then we started having a really good conversation about anxiety. So those things don't like put me off. It's kind of what I just grew up with. It's just normal, right? It's just what it is. And they always come and they tell you the most what they think maybe is the worst possible thing they can tell you. I don't know. Like I met this one girl. I was like, okay, hey, what's your name? And she goes, hi, I'm going to use a fake name. Hi, my name is Esther, and I'm a victim of domestic violence. Just like that, you know, just like that, And I was just like, you don't know what to do next, Then you start talking, and it's cool. So yeah, it's the culture in these parts. They'll just come up to you and tell you whatever. The other day I was at the park with my son. This guy sat down next to me. He said, like, his mom, don't know him. We don't know each other. His mother is trying to make him lose custody, but she's the one that's hooked on Vicodin. That she doesn't understand that he loves his daughter. He went to rehab because of his daughter, all this stuff. And I'm listening, because that's his story. He wants to share it. I've come to appreciate it because when I was in Houston, it's really hard. Anybody who lives in Houston will tell you it's really hard to talk to people or meet people in Houston. I don't know what it is, but it's a bunch of people that don't know anybody in a giant city of people who don't know anybody, and they can never make the connection happen for some reason. That was the weird thing. But here, it's, man, you just, oh, what's going on? Oh yeah, one guy told me he beat like, he goes, would you like me to buy you a drink? I'm like, hey, why not? And he's like, I go, sure. And I'm like, he's like, you from, where we're from? I'm like, yeah, because we were at a bar that was watching a game from my former state. I'm like, he's like, you're from, I'm like, yeah. I'm like, he goes, where are you from? I told him the county that I grew up in. And then he goes, oh, I hate that county. I'm like, why? He's like, I assaulted a judge's daughter. I did, he said, I did 6 years in the clink. This is like this old man, like, Like, bro, I didn't ask you that, bro. Like, I mean, I kind of asked you, but like, it ain't that deep. Like, whatever. But again, I drank my drink. We talked about the game. It's just what it is. So some of you guys think, oh, Derek, I got a question for you. It might be a little weird. Ask the question. I've heard it all. Ask the question. Yeah, yeah. Any Nebraska, Kansas, Iowa, parts of Missouri, um, probably the Dakotas, all them little states that no person has any business living in. Yeah, it's just what it is. It's a come up to you. One person, this lady comes up to us. She had like a giant cross, like an Orthodox cross, and she's like, "You to me and my wife, you two are so beautiful." I was like, "Oh, thank you, lady." That kind of thing. And we're trying to keep it going, but she's in front of our shopping cart, and she's like, "My daughter and her cousin have chosen to start dating each other and they're gonna get married." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." You like what? Like, okay, lady. Like, yeah, the whole family's against it, but they're just, young people when they're in love, that's just what they do. I'm like, where I'm from, I'm not even supposed to be sitting next to you talking this crazy button. Abomination. Yeah, it's normal. So yeah, if you guys got questions and you think it's weird, just ask me the damn question. I've heard worse. You know. Let me stop, man. I'm going too far. This website is owned by the Nordic Norwegian people. So thank you for correcting the Igbo Yoruba language a little. Yeah, I can go further into the Igbo Yoruba thing, but y'all, we gotta go, man. So if you guys want to talk some more, get on the Patreon. Let's chop it up. That being said, as always, unogade, unogeto, nkabala nu tiriaka, ogade no wa, ogade no neke, no rie, na fo, na nkwo, ise. So many people like that at community college. Yeah, yeah, definitely. But let me leave that alone. Hey, I had a girl tell me that her boyfriend robbed the Perkins. Robbed the Perkins, which is like a pie restaurant. But anyways, let me let y'all go. All right, take care. At community college. Man.